and welcome to the Old Hombre podcast with your host, Mense Morera, and
Andrew Kanikuru, good evening, good evening.
good evening, everyone. And welcome to episode 11
11,
of
we're
the
flying
Old
now.
Hombre
Whoosh.
podcast.
We're literally old hats at this
Consistency.
now. Do you know what? I think I'm going to wait until 15 and then call myself an influencer.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gents, this is the podcast about business trends and analysis, the work life, and the beyond. We defined the beyond as retirement. We will speak on those three subjects. Not always on every episode, but yeah, those are the main themes that this Old Hombre podcast is about. So thank you for joining us, and we will start in traditional fashion by asking Andrew, how has your week been, sir?
Week has been very busy. So, as I mentioned in the last one, we're moving home quite soon. We had a load of boxes delivered from the moving company, and I've got a full 2 weeks before I move. And as I said to you, if I stand still long enough, my wife will actually put me in a box, tape it up, and move. I can't find anything. It's a bit of a muddle at the moment. She's even stopping me from, don't buy anything for the freezer. But okay, but if we're going to eat it, does it matter? Well, we won't eat it, blah blah. Yeah. So anyway, I can't wait. I can't wait for this to finish and be done with.
So how many moves has this been in your life now? What? I think you're
So
your
my
seventh,
life.
right?
Oh, actually, no, there hasn't been that many. Actually, I mean, I moved to Essex to a little flat many years ago, and then to a house. So that was number 2, and then to where I am now, number 3. This is going to be my 4th move.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
4th move. I've had a couple of flat let-ins and flat shares and what have you, but yeah, no, it's number 4. I know people that have moved a hell of a lot more than that. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how they do it. I don't know why you would buy and sell houses. It's the most stressful thing ever.
Well, good luck, my friend, and I feel very, very privileged that you're still on the podcast during such a time. So yeah, thank you, Andrew.
No, look forward to it. I enjoy these, and sometimes we've got the 3 topics, and sometimes we go off topic. Sometimes we really focus, and as I've always said to you, I find it enjoyable, and hopefully, some of the people out there find it enjoyable. And I know we've got a few followers and a few viewers, hopefully it gets appreciated, and long may it continue.
Okay, cool. Well, I hope the audience can also recognize that there's a lighting situation going.
There is.
Yeah, there's a bit of mood lighting now. So yeah, that's this week's improvement. And Andrew, and watch Andrew's camera soon, because that's going to start improving as well. But anyway, we'll record a surprise. So Andrew, today's.
Look. I mean,
Exactly. Well, there you go. So, yeah, keep yourself nice and centered, mate. I think you're just a bit more to the right or to the left.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, so whilst you're doing that, this episode we've got some interesting content. As we finished off last week's episode, we were saying that we were going to start talking a bit about our personal professions, which happens to be software sales. So business to business enterprise sales. So we'll be delving a bit into that, and a couple of current business news headlines that I want to bring to your attention. But yeah, let's start off with we could still call it a Wolly segment to some degree. But let's keep it sales related. So let's kick off with our first segment.
What do you think I am, mate? Some sort of Wolly.
Okay, well, the Wolly of the week. So let's go into my reels. So I've got 3 reels that I've actually saved, and I'll run through. All right, we'll start off nice and light, Andrew.
So what do you do for?
So this is all about how you position your job, right? And we're all guilty of this, especially in sales, right? And I'll come to that in a little bit, but let's watch it. Very good looking couple, by the way.
work?
Oh, I'm a lead sanitation specialist at a Fortune 500 company.
Wow. Oh, the lead. That's cool.
What do you do, Javier?
I'm a field nourishment consultant for a huge restaurant conglomerate.
Yeah, wow, we got a power couple here.
Stop it.
They're Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
That's very
Guilty.
sweet.
So what do you...
So anyway, why is that relevant? Because I cringe, Andrew, every single time someone asks me, what do you do for a living? And I'll go, I'm an account executive. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, I'm an account executive. I'm a senior enterprise account executive. What does it mean? I'm just a sod on my computer at home trying to figure out how to flog some gear to big companies. Like, do you not feel, do you not cringe every single time you have to tell someone your title?
I, you know what? I gave up a long while ago.
Yeah.
I just say I'm in sales.
Yeah.
And just leave it at that. And then if they ask what, then it's software or whatever.
Yeah.
And sometimes, to be honest with you, particularly when we're in application security, I used to say, I'm in security sales, but I can't talk about it.
I love it. And you know what? People lap that up. Your normal layman will lap that up. So that's a good shout. Actually, I might use that.
It's funny you chose these because I mean, believe it or not, audience, you know these sessions are not rehearsed. I know it seems very seamless and it looks like it's all been scripted and rehearsed. It's not, but it's funny because job titles is something that I want to touch upon later as well.
Okay. All right, brilliant. Well, there you go. Well, there's some synergy there. Right, so that's our first entry into the Wolly of the week. Not calling them Wollies, but, people that, go about upping their titles. Come on, man, get real. Right, so we'll go into another light-hearted one.
Hey team, unfortunately, we're all going to have to work a few extra hours tonight. Unfortunately, a lot of volume came in, and we really do have to get it done. Unfortunately, I won't be around because my son has a baseball tournament, so I'll actually be leaving early to hit on the road. But if you guys...
Has this ever happened to you in real time? Because I tell you what, it has.
Yeah.
You know when you're just... You're on the edge. You're like, you've been really plotting your exit for months, right? And, you're getting treated like, oh, if you don't do this, you're going to lose your job, or you're dispensable, or, oh, you think, this company treats you so on, you're just like, oh, sod off, right?
Go the extra mile. Why don't you do the extra, go the extra mile, blah, blah, blah.
And you're just like, and you're exhausted with it. You're exhausted with the company politics. You're hearing all this, and then this happens.
Don't have any other questions for me, please save it for next week when I'm back in the office. Also, I spoke to
That facial expression. We all know it, right?
management about the bonuses.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we will not be receiving a bonus this year, even though the company made record profits.
Do you think he's actually going to say? Okay, well, yeah, there you go. Well, let's see what he says.
We will be giving you guys a pizza.
Shut up, man. Shut up. We don't give a fuck about this job. Ain't nobody working late on a Friday. Matter of fact, today my last day.
Anyway, well, let's see if there's more.
Yeah.
Again, it's going back to that FU money, almost,
Yeah, I've never done the latter, right?
No.
But it's funny, Andrew, because I don't know if you get this, or the audience will relate to this, but there's an emotional cycle that you get when you get that email and you're like, you've got a job offer. You get a spike of adrenaline.
Yeah.
And then you get a little bit of a spike of fear as well with it.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, oh man, now I've got to resign. And then you feel kind of bad. And
you feel guilty, don't you?
Yeah,
you feel guilty.
I get some real guilt.
Yeah,
and then there's that period where you've got to kind of go along with it. Like, so you got to be like, oh yeah, the quarterly number, fully well knowing that you're going to sod off very soon.
You don't give a crap.
Well, I don't know why, Andrew, but I've got this, I do know why, but I've got this philosophy where I always want to leave my job in a good place, even if they don't merit it completely. Like, they would have to be really violating me. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Which is often not the case. So you still want to kind of leave a good legacy. And they always don't believe you when you say, look, I want to do a good job and leave things behind in the right way. Like, for example, as a salesperson, I've never stolen a deal from my previous company. even if
No.
I'm selling the same product
Yeah.
or whatever. I've never done it, or I've never
Well,
I've never
let me-
downloaded the database or anything like that of customer contacts. I only
Well-
keep the customer contacts that I have a relationship with, as a personal relationship. But anyway, sorry, Andrew.
Well, listen. I'm really glad you touched upon that because I wasn't going to mention this, but what you just said really, really resonates with an experience I had last Thursday.
Right.
Right. So this chap, who we both know, right? We've worked with him, although he was in the US office, and I know him probably more than you do,
Right.
etc. Is actually working at a competitor of our last employer, me and
Okay.
you, yeah,
Okay.
the one that we just left, right?
Okay.
And he messaged me on LinkedIn and said, "Hi Andrew, I hear you've left da company. Why was that?" And I just responded back, you know what, it wasn't right. We had some issues that were technical. I didn't feel it was right for me, blah, blah, blah. And I've moved on. And he goes, "Oh, it sounds like you dodged a bullet there. Oh, by the way, were they doing well in EMEA and who were their biggest clients?" I'm like, "What? Hang on a second. How have you asked me a question like that? Yeah. You're supposed to be a tenured, experienced salesperson. And B, on what planet do you think I'm going to give away a company's client list to you?
Yeah.
To a competitor?" And I was just flabbergasted. I was shocked.
Yeah, I agree, man. I just think, you know what? Especially because we're in cybersecurity audience, we're in a very incestuous. Like we're not selling paper here or like lottery tickets or whatever. There is a finite market with a finite set of companies, and news travels fast. And it's not just the fear of that; it's just you feel dirty, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, Andrew, because I definitely feel guilt. Yes, I know they're venture capitalist organizations, and I've rambled on about they don't give a damn about you, but that doesn't always need to define the integrity that you have. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And ultimately, you were just collaborating with the people that you've left behind, and now you're going to stab them in the back immediately. That just makes it makes no sense, especially when you.
And you know what, you'll bump into them at an event, or you'll bump into an ex-colleague that works there, or you'll bump into someone that's you knew and now works there.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think particularly as a salesperson within such a small sector, your brand is really important.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I even try not to go to competitors like straight away.
Yeah.
So it's like I'll give it a long break, or I'll try to go for like maybe a related technology, but isn't necessarily exactly in the same space. But yeah, I'll make you right on that one. Because the way I see it as well, Andrew, is if you can't succeed without those old leads, without those old contacts, then you got to reconsider whether you're actually fit for the role. Like, unless there's like in fairness, there are some companies that only allow you to sell to 5 accounts, right? Or 10 accounts. And they're going to be the same customer. So I'll provide leeway on that. But in most jobs, there's no need to do that.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So yeah, there's a level of integrity.
And I agree with you. I can only remember one occasion, Mincy, where I got that job offer and I was brimming with excitement because the place I was working had become so bad. And they mistreated me, broken promises, all sorts of things that I just thought, you know what, walk in, I've got a job offer, goodbye. Done.
Yeah.
But other places that we've both worked at, it's strange, but I think to myself, oh, how am I going to tell them? I'm going to really disappoint so and so and stuff like that. But yeah, maybe it's our personality.
We'll put it up to the audience. We'll put it up to the audience. Like I might actually cut this segment as its own little segment so that people can comment on it because I think it's an interesting subject. There's the high of getting a job, but there's also the come down of quitting.
So
yeah.
Actually,
I'm glad you like that one,
idea.
mate. I'm glad you like that one, mate. All right, next Wolly of the week, and then this segues into the sales piece. This one right here is one that really gets on my nerves. Right. So this is my sales manager telling me how much I could be making if I just stick to the script. Right. So sales managers, actually, none of my sales managers have ever said this to me, right? So for those of you that aren't familiar with sales, there are actually departments in every company that I've worked for that think that they can just write scripts and tell you to follow a script that takes you to a sale. They actually believe that selling is just a dead body there and just repeating a message, and that
we're just a vessel. We're just a vessel,
right? And it just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. It might work that way with very transactional sales and less complex products, and I still believe that's not the case, but it's just it could do. But for like bespoke, when you're selling things that are bespoke to people, there is no such thing as a sales script. There's strategies that you can adopt, but you have to adopt them flexibly. So I think any sales function that does this, they're big Wollies. And I say that as well for the automated spam emails too, right? So, you'll get someone in marketing, and I love marketing, by the way. I've worked for marketing departments, all of that good stuff, right? They have their place, whatever. But there is a fine line between marketing and sales. And there are some individuals that believe they know sales, even though they haven't done one day of it. And they'll start writing these emails, and they've got these sequences. And all they do is they'll just automate it by replacing the name and replacing maybe the company name. And you just click 7 steps, 7 different touches or 10 different touches. And you send them an email on one day, then an email the next day, and it's just a chain reaction. And they believe that this alone is just going to unearth all the business opportunities in the world. And guess what it does? FA. And
all it does, I tell you, all it does is it sells these bloody software packages that provide these scripts and sequences and all that.
Exactly.
That's all it does.
It's a pile of crap. And you know what, Andrew? Just to reference the software that do it, good software companies. I'm not going to poo-poo them. You got the likes of Apollo. You got the likes of
Outreach.
Outreach. These kind of software.
Lucia.
No, Lucia's more.
Lucia's a bit different.
They give you phone numbers, but I like these pieces of software because what they do is they do record your emails very well. They connect your database to LinkedIn, which is really cool. It saves you time in terms of admin. So I'm actually a big fan of these others. But the actual concept of sequencing communication and sticking to a script like this is a pile of crap to me, which is why I put it in my Insta Wolly segment.
But to be fair to these organisations, they provide you the tools to enable and run these scripts. It's up to you how often you do them, right? I mean, I sat on a call not so long ago, and they told me that it takes 31 touches to book an appointment, right? Does it really?
No.
Yeah, I've booked an appointment on the first call because, I've been, I don't know, lucky, good timing. I've said the right thing, or,
when it's the time,
I did a bit of research.
When it's the time, it's the time. Right,
exactly.
31 touches is nothing short of harassment, in my opinion.
Harassment, absolutely.
So yeah, very interesting.
Well, do you know what? Again, you must have been reading my mind, because again, it's another thing that I'd like to touch upon.
Okay, well, this is great. It's a great intro to the main segment. All right, so we'll start off with this sales segment. So I'm gonna share my screen in a bit, and this is an Instagram reel. Just bear me 1 second, Andrew. I'm gonna share it with the audience.
Yep.
All right, we are now so what are we about to look at, Andrew?
Right. So as people know that I'm a bit of an old fart when it comes to Instagrams and all that lot, but I've been getting into it a lot recently and watching a lot. And I've noticed a hell of a lot of people doing, Instagrams or some longer segments, teaching you how to sell. Giving advice on, how to sell, all the way out to, to ask the right question, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm sure these guys are rich, successful, and have been through it, although I'm a little bit,
my question is this: if you were so bloody successful in sales, what's the propensity of you being on TikTok wasting your bloody time? I'm not sure. you know.
So this gentleman here, is I've seen him quite a lot, and he gives everything from sales advice to investment advice. So he's got a big portfolio of knowledge, and anyone that's watched The Wolf of Wall Street, there's a famous scene in there where they say, "Sell me this pen." Right, and this is his version of it, and I'd like to just run through this. It's not long; it's about 20-30 seconds.
All right, let's get this over the line. Let's go.
Yeah.
Here's a challenge for you. Only 1% of people can do this. Sell me this pen. Maybe you would say it's a lovely pen. It's great for writing notes. It's super luxurious. Wrong. I'm not buying it. I'll let you into a little secret before you try. People buy with emotion and they justify with logic. Create emotion, solve a problem and attach a story. Features tell and benefits sell. So try and sell me this pen in the comments. I'll reply to the best ones, and if it's good, I may even follow you.
So the prize is that he may follow us. Okay.
Okay. I mean, he's he seems to have a lot of followers.
How much money
Wait,
was
1
I
second,
rich
sorry.
in my early 20s?
Oh, there's some more
Well,
of
there are
stuff.
three.
No, I just took him off. Sorry about
As
that.
I say, he gives financial advice, and this got me thinking, and it got me thinking back to my experiences in sales.
Yeah.
And I mean, back in the 1980s, I got in a situation where I had to leave college and go and find a job because my parents decided they were going back to Turkey.
Right.
Yeah. So I thought, you know what, let's go and get a job. And in those days, Mency, no internet, no Indeed or any of that, LinkedIn jobs or anything. You had to go to something called a job centre.
Right.
Right. And you'd go there and there's these little cards and it'd have a description of the job. So, you know what? I just went and picked one that said trainee. I thought, trainee, I know nothing. Trainee telesales. This was the job, right? Picked the card, went up to the lady, interested in this job. So what they do is they phone up the person, say, I've got somebody interested, can you arrange an interview? So she's phoned up and she's like, hello there, Mr. Vanderweel. I've got a gentleman interested in a job. He's like, what's his name? And it's Abdullah Kanikara. And he's gone, bloody hell, can he speak English? So you can imagine the times, right?
Right.
So anyway, she's gone, well, I'll let you speak to him. You could be the judge. Anyway, long story short, I get the interview, right? It's a terraced house that's been converted to an office, right? His office is one of the bedrooms upstairs.
Yeah.
Right? And he's got a globe with a drinks trolley in it, proper 1980s.
Right.
And he sits there and he's like, right, okay, sell me this pen, right? And I'm thinking, bloody hell, his pen's be a big pen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how am I going to sell this pen? I know nothing about pens. I've never done this before, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, hang on a second. I said, you shouldn't really be using this pen. And he's like, why that then? I said, well, you're the managing director of a large company. You should be buying a Schaefer or a Parker pen, because that was the brands in those days, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he stood there and he went, you've got the job, right? So it was basically because I thought, instead of saying, oh, it writes well and whatever, I sort of told him that he was too good for the pen that he was buying, and he should have bought something a lot better. So that got me the job. And I thought, you know what? When all these people attaching, emotion to a pen and stuff like that, that's not an easy thing to do. Yeah.
Right.
So it doesn't always work with lots of different things. So sort of moving forward a little bit, what do we have today, Mency? We have our laptop computers, we have the world at our fingertips with the internet. We have a BDR team, and for people that don't know what that means, it's the business development representatives. Yeah, these are the people that go out and find you leads and help you book appointments, or they're also known as SDRs. We've got marketing, we've got digital marketing, we've got field marketing. These are the people that help you with reaching out to your targeted lists. Then we've got, all of the events and webinars and all of these lovely tools that are things and sequencing tools for sending out emails and tools where you can find phone numbers and names and all these great things at your fingertips as a salesperson. Right, well, back in the 1980s, I had the yellow pages and a pen and paper and a touch-tone phone.
Yeah.
Right, and my CRM system, believe it or not, was a little box that had dividers A to Z. And I had two of these boxes. One contained white cards, which were all my prospects, and one contained pink cards, which were all my customers.
Right.
And that was it. We were responsible, Mincy, for cold calling. We were responsible for closing that initial deal. We were responsible for maintaining that customer, so constantly selling to them, on a regular basis. We were responsible to making sure their deliveries reached them on time. We were responsible if they had a problem, if something wasn't right, something wasn't working. We were responsible making sure it was put right. So it got me thinking that how different has sales become? Has it become more focused, if you look at it in a positive point of view, or has it become more lazy if you look at it from a negative point of view?
Right.
And are we all aiming for that same goal? And you mentioned you loved marketing. I love marketing too. I love the BDR team. I used to be a BTR. You used to be a BDR. You used to run the BDR teams. But has it made the salesperson a little bit lazy? And I've come across a lot of salespeople that sit there and, when they're not hitting their target, that all of a sudden it's marketings. The BDRs aren't booking me meetings, or we're not doing enough events, or nobody's attending the webinars.
Passing the buck, right?
Passing the buck, right? Yeah, and it's these sort of things that got me thinking. As I say, I'm not going out in my day, but in my day, I had a yellow pages, or if I thought out of the box a little bit, I used to buy the Evening Standard.
Yeah.
And at the back of it used to have, secretary wanted, and that was gold to me because I was selling typewriter and printer ribbons. So it had a phone number and a contact person, right? And I knew they needed big typewriter ribbons, because it said must be able to type, or must be able to use a WP or whatever. So it was all about, finding your own leads and being responsible for your own target. And there was no one to pass the buck to. Your job title wasn't, business. What are some of the job titles? Let's say, my job title, regional sales manager. Well, in my day, a manager was somebody who was responsible for people.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, in your defense, Andrew. Sorry, I'll let you finish your sentence.
No, go on, please do.
In your defense, Andrew, you are responsible for a region, and you are responsible for people in that region. It just happens that they're your customers, not your workers.
Yeah. Or regional sales director. Again, a director was somebody that owned shares in a company and directed the way the company was going.
Yeah.
And I just, from some of these titles now are just meaningless. They mean nothing. At the end of the day, you are a salesperson. Whether you're selling paper clips and pens, or you're selling complex solutions like, such as enterprise CRM, enterprise security sales, etc. So, titles have become a little bit, a bit stupid or a bit silly now. And I just think, I'd love your thoughts on not just the titles, but I'd love your thoughts on how do you feel, let's say, marketing, business development, or whatever. Do you feel that it's that jointed organisation, jointed team, that togetherness that's all going for that same thing, which is to bring business into the company? Or do you feel that everybody's got their own agenda? Because me being a little bit negative, I feel that sometimes, different departments just have their own agenda, and it doesn't really relate to what you want to achieve as a salesperson, which is make sales. And they're supposed to be there to help you do that, right?
Yeah. So I think, so I'll tell you something about my first exposure to sales. I worked in a telesale center as well. That was my first.
Okay.
That was my first exposure to sales. It was a company called Space Kitchens in Southgate.
Nice.
I worked there for 3 weeks, and I thought, sod this, right? And I'll tell you why I said sod this, right? And I was kind of right. So I went in, and they sat me at a desk,
right.
And then they said, right, shadow this person for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I kid you not. This was when it was back in. It was about when I was 17, 16.
Yeah.
When I was in college.
Same as me.
So it was about 20 years ago now. Yeah, 20 years ago. The most sophisticated telesale system I had ever seen in my life, Andrew.
Oh, wow.
I've never seen it till today, right? Even till today, I still haven't seen something so sophisticated in my life. Right. So you got there, cubicles.
Yeah.
You sat on the computer, and the computer would auto dial. So you put on the headset, it would auto dial the number.
Yeah.
It will give you a 10-second break between each call.
Yeah.
And the script was like karaoke. So you'd be like, hi, it's Mense from Space Kitchens. Am I catching a good time? If it was a bad time, it would default to so it'd be like yes, no. You click yes or no, and then it'll give you and it was all about it was getting to the customer to the point where they would just have enough curiosity regarding some kitchens and renovations. Then the minute it was like, okay, just hold, I'm just going to put you through to our specialist. Then it got put through to another department, and then another department. Basically, it was a free tier thing. But my job was if I could get 18 calls a shift, to get to the next level, that was my job done, and I got a $5 per conversion.
Wow. Well, you know.
Now, so bear me 1 second, right? So that was a faultless process.
Yeah.
It was a sweatshop. Now, what happened, Andrew? So I started to notice that the conversion of my calls were all vulnerable people.
Of course they are.
And at some point I thought, sod this, I can't do this anymore. Like you'd have to be a special type of to carry on with this. So I quit. Lo and behold, Andrew, 8 years later, that specific company, I believe it was on Panorama.
Wow.
Right? It was on Panorama. As I was actually trying to find the article as you were talking, right? So just have a look at this. This is I just saw it on Mumsnet. I mean, this is 2010, just so you can see. I've just been subject to 8 hours of hard sell from Space Kitchens. Their brochure looks, price is okay, but does anyone have experience of this company? My friend had one fitted years ago, and she wasn't impressed. Basically, not only was it aggressive telesales, the product was a pile of crap. And they've now closed down, right? Thank God for that. But I say all that to say that was that was the complete wrong exposure that I had to sales really early in my career. And that level of scale and repeatability and control on the sales cycle is what every company dreams of, right? Okay, that's what they want. They don't want us to be personalities. They don't want us to do it in a different way. They just want scale and repeatability, right? So when I think about what the company wants, I find that interesting. But then you think, what does the customer want? When it comes to enterprise, so a business to business sell, or any product where you have to personalize the process a little bit, the customer wants clear information. They want the information to be digested to some degree, so apply to them, right? So some level of personalization. What else do they want? They don't want to speak to someone who's reading off a script. They want to speak to a real person that's thinking with them, alongside them. Yeah.
And they want a specialist in their field.
Right. Yeah. All things that do not scale.
Scale. Thank you.
Right. So go on.
No. So again, so that's what I'm thinking is like when I think back, right? So
I was going to go. Sorry, I don't want to cut you. Hold on to that because I just want to actually answer your question because I haven't actually kind of even addressed it. I was just giving a long ass intro. So sorry, audience. So part of my answer to this, and then you can say what you're about to say, is you need to think about, and this is what I've been reflecting on for like probably months or quarters now. I've come to the conclusion that we're all after different things in a company. So your answer is yes, we're all going for our own personal agendas. I've now come to the point where I'm starting to think that we all are doing things in the best interest of the company. It's just our operational models don't match at all. So this is my kind of thoughts on it. Marketing wants scale. So you see that first example that I gave you of reading off the script and the repeatability. Marketing wants scale. They want the adverts that have the eyes and predictability and conversion rates, and all. They want to find an algorithm of sorts that brings interest to the company. That's because they don't ever meet customers one-to-one. They will never go and hunt. They're just focused on scale. Your CEO wants scale, but then also wants to protect his business by having that personal relationship with the customer. Because the thing is, if your marketing team can scale your sales funnel and make it all automatic, then it's only a matter of time before a competitor goes and does that too. So you do need that panache. I don't know if the panache is the word. You do need that kind of personalization so that the customers become sticky and they love your company, right? From a sales perspective. So I'd say a CEO wants a bit of everything. They want scale, but they want customer service that's personalized, and they want a bit of everything. Your sales managers, I think they're also a bit like CEOs. They're stuck in the middle. But I say all this to say that I wouldn't say that people aren't serving the company or they're serving their own agendas. I think they're serving their own philosophies in a just disjointed way that is making a lot of losses across the board. And that's kind of my take on it, Andrew.
Yeah. So it's interesting because, it's interesting you mentioned scale and relationships and personality, because I think a lot of that has been lost. I think that a lot of salespeople are almost, like we said earlier, a vessel. And the reason I say that is because when we look at certain methodologies, spin, medic, force, there's tons of them, and they're all pretty much the same message, right? And the mentality from management, CEOs, and whoever seems to be that if you go through this philosophy or sales methodology, and you do it right, and you'll get to a stage where you'll qualify out or you'll make the sale, right?
Yeah.
And so how's that different from having a script?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way they see it. That's the way they see it, right?
That's the way they see it, right.
But the truth is, you can have the way I see these sales methodologies is I see them as guides. But they're not the route. They're not the route. It's just a guide. It's if this happens, maybe you could do this. If that happens, maybe you can do that. They're playbooks. They're guides on different directions that you can show value for your products. But they're never going to be scripts like Space Kitchens, because all you're going to end up having is a disaster. Because and you know what as well, Andrew, I'll be honest with you, I'm annoyed with the customer.
Well, the thing is, Bensi, is I get that.
And I'll explain what I mean. A crap salesman blames the customer, right? But I'll get to the point in a bit. Go on, Andrew.
No. I'm just saying is that, I get what you're saying is that they are guides, and I completely agree with you. They're a framework. Yeah, that's what they're supposed to be. We're a framework. You and I understand this, and a lot of salespeople understand this. It's a framework for checking yourself as well. But, you've done certain things when we look at medic or however many D's and P's that are being added to it, right? But it's also from bad managers, or not bad managers, but just managers that don't know what else to do. It's always also the stick, from the carrot and the stick. But I see you haven't done this and you haven't applied that, and how many deal reviews have we sat in on, and they go through the methodology and they go, oh well, you haven't found the champion, and you haven't done this, and you haven't done that. So again, is it I get confused. Is it a framework, or is it something that's rigid and you have to stay by? I think it depends on the customer, or sorry, not on the customer, on the company, on the management, on the whole ethos of the organisation that you're working for, and also where that company is located. Where was it founded? If it's a US company, it's very different to a European company in the way that they talk about these things and their expectations. But sort of just going back to what I was saying is earlier on, is that I started off in sales as a 17-year-old, pretty much like you did. I was on £17.50 a week, Mincy.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah. No commission, right? I had to hit £3,000 worth of sales before I managed to get commission, right? And I was lucky one day. This guy walked through the door. His name, I still remember his name from today. His name was Jeffrey. He was from Zimbabwe.
Right.
And my boss and everyone else was out at lunch. I was manning the phones, and I sold him £3,500 worth of typewriter and printer ribbons.
Wow.
Paid cash there and then.
Wow.
Yeah, and walked away. And funny enough, he was a repeat customer. He came over twice a year, phoned me up. I sometimes met him down at Heathrow with all the delivery, etc. But I had customers like Christian Dior, who I knew them intimately.
Wow.
I knew them intimately from who they were, their family, what they did, their birthdays, blah blah. I knew everything about my customers. I was there 12 years, Mincy.
Wow.
Yeah. I
Hopefully
started
not
as
on $7.50 a week for 12 years.
No. Yeah. Right. Don't get me wrong, right? And this was another thing about forecast meetings, right? When I had my first forecast meeting at whatever company it was, I thought, what the hell? How am I supposed to tell how much sales I can get in new business when I don't have an existing customer base? My forecast meetings used to be, right, you bunch of blah, 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 right? Your targets are this month. Right, this month your targets are this, and if you don't hit, I'm frigging sick and tired of it. Someone's going to lose their job. That was a forecast call.
Wow, what an encouragement, right? Now people would be breaking down over that type of stuff.
Yeah, well, we had no HR either. There was no HR. The HR was the boss, basically.
But let me explain why I said it. I also think it's the customer's fault, right?
Go on, yeah.
Because on one hand, and this is kind of what's happening across all markets as I see it, right? On one hand, we want the automated experience, right? So we want to, we want to get through the queue systems at our supermarkets as quickly as possible. You know what I'm trying to say? So we don't want that conversation. We want to get there as, we don't want to queue up. We want our stuff in the bags as quickly as possible, and we want to get out of there. We, for other businesses, there's that rush. But then when things go wrong, we still want the people there to help us fix what's wrong.
Absolutely.
So it's like we're pushing for automation as a consumer base. But then when it comes to the customer service piece, when things go wrong and we want a physical human there. So we just want humans just dangling around. And we don't...
in case we need them.
In case we need them. But we don't reward the businesses that invest in people. So why do I say all this? Because you got people on LinkedIn. On one hand, on LinkedIn, I've received 100 emails this week. Why, this is not how you sell. Okay, cool. That's not so emails, we'll put that as a no. If you cold call me, don't call me.
I will block your number. I will block your company's number.
Okay, all right. So you don't want to talk to me.
Yeah.
You don't want to email me. So you don't want to email me, or you don't want to be emailed. Okay, cool. So that's two forms of communication. I keep getting invited to events. Events are a waste of time. How many times I only go to... Do you know what? I saw some dozy cow say on LinkedIn the other day, and she lost her job a week later. I'm not even going to mention her yet, but honestly, I knew it was going to happen, Andrew. I knew it was going to bloody... By the way, there was a load of layoffs in this particular company, but I'll say dozy cow. You know why? Because you know what I heard her say or saw her say on LinkedIn a week ago? This is a lady that habitually is speaking at events, Andrew.
Yeah.
Yeah? Every other bloody week, she's doing a talk. And then she know what she writes. Someone was complaining about events. She goes, I only go to the events that I speak at. Otherwise, I don't go to them. Like, does the irony not miss you? I was about a bum hair away from ranting on her post, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? I really regret not having that genuine moment, because had she, she got fired or laid off the week after that, and I do feel bad for the people that got laid off.
Yeah.
But I say all of this to say, Andrew, right? Right, so you don't want to meet people at events. You don't want to meet people, via emails. You don't want cold calls. I will come to you. So what do So what do marketing teams think?
Yeah.
We'll just give Google 100K. We'll give Google 150K a month for SEO, for Facebook, for LinkedIn. And our sales force, forget them.
Yeah.
Just forget them. What do you expect? However, when it actually comes to the evaluation process, they want to speak to a salesperson. When they want the discount, they want to speak to someone, don't they?
Yeah.
When they want to go through the legal review, they want to speak to someone. Oh, when they've bought the product, God damn it, they want a champion to help them. Look, listen, I can't get through to engineering. Can you escalate? So, like, Andrew, as consumers, like, the market will do what the consumers ask it to do.
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely.
Sorry. Let me digress on that. The markets and companies won't do what the customers ask them to do. They will do what the customer rewards them to do.
Yeah.
So on one hand, I'm like, oh man, I really want to see people at the till system. But if I don't transact via the woman that's on the till, and I keep going to the self-checkout, well, it's only going to go one direction, Andrew. If I start effing and jeffing, or like at the staff, like, do you know, it's only ever going to go one direction. So I think that... sorry.
No. This was my whole point of reflecting on the evolution of sales. It was the whole point of it is that, I know I'm an old fart, but I was responsible, Mincy. I was responsible for lead generation, closing new business, finding new business. I was responsible for marketing, because you know what? I used to get a bag of leaflets in one hand and a bag of chocolates and sweets to bribe the people on the reception to let me in and give me business cards, right? So I was responsible for that. I was responsible for upsells and repeat sales, the renewals that we would call it now. If anything went wrong, it was down to me to get it fixed. If they didn't pay, the credit, my boss would go to me, they ain't paid their bill, get onto them, right? So, and I'm not saying we should still be doing all of that, but I think that a lot of it has been not diluted, but handed out to other departments, and I don't think that connection is there sometimes between these departments.
Of course, but again, I guess what I was trying to say before is you've got one department looking at it this way, right? Yeah. So you've got the marketers, and they're not to be blamed. They think that sales is a load of SEO, marketing, whatever, right? And then you've got sales managers that think it's an automated process, because every single time we win a deal and it goes smoothly, they'll go, oh, we sold this in a month, let's study the one that was sold in a month. But they won't go and study the one that was sold a year and a half. Right? So
because that's down to the salesperson,
right? So they're looking at the quickest conversion rate, and that's how they build their model.
Yeah.
Then you got the marketers looking at SEO and listening to people going, oh, I don't want emails, I don't want calls, I don't want this, I don't want that. And then you got the CEO just looking at the growth of other companies and fantasizing.
Yeah.
And then taking advice, listening to Wollies, possibly like us, right? Saying, oh yeah, if your salespeople don't sell an enterprise deal in 6 months, fire them.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. So you've given them no leads. You've given them, you've never sold in that territory in the past. There's no leads. Your brand means FA in that nothing in that specific region. And you want the guy to start off a whole market and close a deal within 6 months, knowing fully well that this product alone takes about 3 months to roll out. So you want them to, you want to have the money budget. So I think companies think, look, these salespeople aren't selling fast enough, and they've gone, I know what we'll do. We'll split the responsibility across different departments. We won't let our salespeople do any marketing. They're not allowed to do to contribute to anything to do with the company's message whatsoever. That's what we have marketeers for. We won't let the salespeople speak to existing customers. The minute they land them, we'll send them to the customer service experts, and we'll silo that off. So this is going back to your little black book, right? They're not allowed to speak to existing customers. They're only allowed to speak to new customers. And they're also they're also not allowed to talk much about the technology as well, because we have solution engineers or specialists, whatever. So you're just there and think. So I wouldn't.
So
say
you're there to go through a process,
because that's the way they see it.
Yeah.
But then if it was that easy, why the hell do you need a salesperson in the first place?
This is my question.
Right. But the minute you outsource your sales force, and and we'll talk about this as an ongoing piece. This is the first time we've kind of spoken about our careers at this level of length, right? But you've got people or companies that think that you can just put ChatGPT to sell your product. I can't wait. I can't wait to see that fruition, right?
Yeah.
You've got technical people, or let's just say we're selling cars. People that know everything to do with an engine, mechanics that think they can sell a car.
Yeah.
Just because they know everything in the engine.
Yeah.
And they'll just bore the pants off the customer.
Yeah.
You've got marketeers that just have the best linguistics in the world and the best, jargon and whatnot. Yeah. And they think they could, and again, people just go, it's jargon. They just want real people. Customers want real people that can help them think, help them make decisions, help them understand their own needs. Because sometimes we don't know our own needs, right? And I think that's what sells is the good people that sell. Those are the people that are kind of understanding that. But I think the market is just going around in circles, Andrew. And that's why we've now got automate your sales function with ChatGPT. That's why we've got these cadences with 7 or 8 or 31 touch points.
Yeah.
Right. And now you can press a button and it generates the message for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It writes the email, it generates the message, it sends it links it to the Salesforce or whatever CRM, and it keeps a record of it, etc. And this is what I started thinking: Am I a salesperson, or am I just somebody going through some steps? I like to think I'm a salesperson. I like to think that there's some emotion behind purchasing as well as selling. And I also think, Mency, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think a lot of it is also down to the region you're selling in. Yeah. If you're selling in the UK or the US, then, it's quite robotic. People want certain steps, and even the buyers expect now to go through these steps because they got so used to it.
Yeah.
But when we're selling in Southern Europe, Middle East, etc., they want to trust you. They want to trust you.
So many nuances. Look, I've had calls in Lithuania.
Yeah.
They don't even want to say hello.
No.
They just want to have straight tech talk.
Yeah.
Good for them. Good for them. About a month ago, I participated in a call in Lithuania. Mm-hmm. And they hardly said hello to me.
Yep.
I asked them, hey, what is your bit? We can't discuss that. We don't have an NDA. Okay, so let me just waste my bloody time and sit here, right, talking about a product to a phantom company that I don't even know what direction you're going in. No, that's brilliant, right? So the engineer was looking at me like a Wolly, because engineers. Well, I know everything. I could just talk about the product. Yeah. Brilliant. The customer's looking at me like I'm just a useless a salesperson on the call. So I just went, oh, okay, brilliant. And do you know what I said? I said to myself, Mense, calm down. Because I don't know if you know, Andrew, I can be a bit emotional sometimes.
No, I've never experienced that. You've been really calm.
I said, calm down. And I said, I'll just wait until they ask me for the price.
Yeah.
So I just sat like this throughout the whole call, right? And then it went, because they're always out of bloody breath, innit, when they're asking, so what's the price? And I just went, I don't know. They were like, you should see the confusion in their face.
Yeah.
You should see. I went, I don't know.
Yeah.
And they went, oh, well, what's your pricing model? I went, I don't know. I haven't. You've told me nothing about yourselves.
Yeah.
Therefore, I know nothing about the price for what you're doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, then now we all just felt like a bunch of Wollies, didn't we? Yeah. And this is the thing. It's like, I didn't do that, to be spiteful, but how dare you? Like how dare you? Ultimately, you think that just talking about a product, talking about the engine and the this and the that, and does it do this and does it do that? If their managers and their superiors were on that call listening to that, they'd be like, this has got nothing to do with my business. No, I can't even certify.
Yeah.
I can't even certify that what you're talking about is actually going to benefit my business. Yep. Okay? So if I talk about this old Dyson and I talk about the twin turbine and the air filtration, all this type of stuff, I might only care about two things. Yeah, How long does the battery last on that handheld thing? And does it have enough suction for me to pick up the dust that I need to pick up in this house?
Yeah.
Simple. Yeah. Right? Simple. But the other person's talking about turbines and this and that and da-da-da-da-da. I might not even have the right power cable for it. Or the right installation for it. So the point is this: it's one of these things where it's like the customers, they all have different nuances. So like I said, that's what that happened with the Lithuanians a month ago. But then in Spain, hello Mense, how are you? Tell me a bit about your background. Okay, it became a bit long-winded and it took a bit of time to get into the product, right? And I have experience in Spain sales cycles that have lasted 18 months. Yeah. But hey, when it lands, it's a strong land.
But Minty, sorry to interrupt you. I and correct me if I'm wrong, because I equate this to the Middle East and places like that as well. It's not chit chat. It's evaluating. Are you trustworthy? Do they like you? Can they trust you?
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah. Like and there's just different tax or the English, for example. The English will just say, right, I have this requirement, bish bash bosh, boom 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 boom. This is the process, boom 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 boom. We'll speak on the next step so that we can do boom 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 boom. Then they'll give you the information in advance sometimes, right? Yeah. Almost like an RFP, a request for pricing, where they have a model or whatever. They're very structured with it. No problem too. But the point is this: good luck with a ChatGPT bot.
Exactly.
To automate your sales process. And you're right, Andrew. Our responsibilities are being diluted and they're being taken to every department. And everyone thinks they're a salesman in the same way that everyone thinks they're a marketeer. Everyone thinks so. I wouldn't say this like everyone against sales. I would just say there's a misunderstanding, right, of what sales is because of all the noise around technology. I think customers as well are confusing companies a little bit, right? And I think we've become a little bit too data driven because data.
Absolutely.
I read a book on I can't remember. I'll see if I can get the name, but the book was about data and how the different ways you can misinterpret data. Like data, there's so many ways that you can draw conclusions from data. So it's coming back to that point I was saying to you earlier on. You can look at a sales cycle that's 3 months and go, that was the best one. But then you won't tag it as an anomaly. You won't realize that actually they were looking at it 2 years ago. They spoke to your predecessor 2 years ago. Then they spoke to the person that got fired. Sorry, then that person got fired. They spoke to the next person.
The BDR team sent them some information. Whatever.
Exactly. So they go, oh, let's follow that one. And we'll do this. And let's ignore the one that's 18 months. You know what I'm trying to say? Which is how you end up in interviews with people saying, right, our sales cycles are 1 to 3 months, right? When in reality, it's 1.5 years. And then you're being treated like a right odd loser, right? For not hitting that expectation. And then guess what happens? Your responsibility gets outsourced to marketing. Your responsibility gets outsourced to the customer success team, to the engineers, etc., etc. So, I don't know. Very interesting conversation, Andrew.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was almost comparing, apples with pears because One was a consumable item that you bought, and now we're selling, enterprise software, which is a lot more complex. But at the core of it, it's about what I feel as a salesperson, having that relationship, understanding your customer, building that level of trust, and also taking some responsibility for generating your own pipeline. You and I do that. We've always done that. We've always had business development teams, but we've always generated our own pipeline. And that, again, this is probably a whole different topic, but a salesperson that has not done the hard graft, as in business development, the cold calling, etc.
It's just like a kitchen. It's just like a kitchen. You start off washing the dishes. You start off peeling carrots and stuff like that. Then then all of a sudden you get graduated to soups. I think. Well, that's what happened to me. You end up making these like leek and potato soups with the big, you know what I'm saying, all the crap dishes, right?
With the blender,
then all of a sudden it's like, all right, mate, you can start marinating the chicken and putting it in those industrial ovens, and and you start gaining experiences all over the gaff, right? You can't just go straight into the chicken station.
No.
Like, you know what I'm trying to say? It's the same thing with sales. Like, I just don't believe in anyone that hasn't done business development before. Like, you have to go through the embarrassment of being shouted at and all of this type of stuff.
Oh, you had a great situation just a couple of weeks ago on a few episodes, and I'm sure all of our viewers and listeners will remember.
They'll remember that episode. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But Andrew, we're going to go into our business segment now. This is a long episode. I may or may not cut that sales thing and into its own little episode, because it's more of I think it's a very good work-life segment. But now we're going to go into recent events in the news regarding businesses. So two businesses I'm going to cover first. So not necessarily deep dives, but still. Number one is the streaming world. So before, maybe early days of the podcast, I'd say maybe about 6 episodes ago, we were talking about the BBC. No, more than that, it was our second episode. Tell a lie, it was the one about the Olympics. We were talking about subscriptions and, the fees behind them and whether they're really worth it. And, Netflix numbers were down, Disney numbers were down on streaming. It seems like the tables have turned, Andrew. So let me share my screen and let's go through a few of these bad boys. In fact, actually, I won't start with the Netflix one. I'm going to start with the Disney one instead. Let's have a look. Sorry about this. Okay. Let's do this. Right. Can you see my screen, Andrew?
Okay.
Right. So Disney shares surge as the company reveals aggressive 3-year growth strategy. So this was a few days ago. So I'll give you an idea. So I told my friend Jesse, shout out Jesse, the guy that actually made our theme tune. So right around lockdown, I called him and I said, Jesse, now is the time to buy some good shares, right? So I told him to invest in Amazon, Microsoft, and one of them, and I told him to pick one. He goes, look, I really want to go into a creative company. So I said, okay, well, why not try Disney, right? And he goes, yeah, I really like Disney. And I said, well, the reason why I want you to invest in Disney is because I heard on the grapevine that they're creating a streaming platform and they're going to get all their content and put it on this platform. And I know it's, for even nostalgic purposes, going to do well. So it ended up doing really well, right? So he was up about 60% in no time, right? Because this was around a time where people didn't know whether COVID was going to affect stocks in a bad way or good way. And then everything just started surging. But then around 2021, they just tanked. The momentum behind the streaming platform died down a lot. I just don't think they were churning out enough content quick enough, like new content. And on top of that as well, the parks, with them being shut down, the Disney World and Disneyland Paris and whatnot, it wasn't going well. But anyway, now it seems like they've now had kind of their little golden moment and things are coming back on track. So let's have a look as to why. So it says that the company's stock's gone up 10%. because of the film production and television assets, which raised its stock. It said basically the streaming segment recorded a £321 million profit last quarter, right, bringing its full year profits to 134, which is very different to a loss of 2.6 billion last year. So it was running at a loss, Andrew, right? And they say that it's coming a lot from, before it was struggling with some of its legacy television segments, so like things like ABC. I think it owns ABC or something like that, right? All those old things. But the Deadpool Wolverine segment, and also Pixar's Inside Out 2 has contributed a massive revenue boost. So it's back to kind of that old grassroots of actually making its money from new film productions. But it's great to hear that that Disney and this particular streaming company is doing well, at least for my friend. But what makes it a little bit more significant, Andrew, is that Netflix also around the same time have also published good earnings as well. So let's look at this. So this was about a month ago now. I would say, October the 17th. So it says that the streaming giant posted a third quarter revenue of 9.83 billion. It's up from 15% from a year ago, and its net income came in at 2.36 billion, or 5.4 per share. So basically, they've achieved this by clamping down on the password sharing. Mm-hmm. Which means that, I mean, you personally, Andrew, did you buy extra Netflix accounts off the back of this, or?
I've got, do you know what? I've got so many blooming thingies. I've actually got 2 Netflix accounts. And I've managed to.
There's only 3 people in your house, so why do you need to?
One comes with Sky that I didn't know that comes with. I'm paying for it. And my daughter, who doesn't live with us, she uses my thing as well. However, do you know what? I feel it's quite fair because, if I decide I want to watch it somewhere else, it will say to me, oh, by the way, you're going to have to remove one of the devices that you've got on there.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't feel it's bad because I'm going away for a weekend or whatever, and I want to log into my Disney on my laptop or my thingy. I log in, it says, oh, you've got too many devices, remove one. I'll just remove the one at home because I'm not using it for a few days.
Right.
I think it's the ones where, people have got
friends and friends
all using the same account.
Yeah,
I get that. I think that's fair. I don't think that's anything out.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I just but this is the bit that really got me thinking, Andrew. So it says analysts have credited Netflix efforts to eliminate password sharing with improving the subscriber numbers, but the company said it will stop reporting subscribers in 2025.
Yeah, so I heard that on the radio today.
Oh wow! So I'm not.
Yeah. I literally heard it on the radio today, coming back from shopping, and it said starting from first quarter earnings 2025, Netflix would no longer disclose subscriber metrics. So
I've just clicked on that link. Just bear me 1 second, because I'm trying to find out. Okay. Cool. So let me share this with you, Andrew. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Investopedia? Yep. Okay, cool. So this is interesting, right? As part of its strategy to boost its advertisement business, Netflix has said it's planning to begin phasing out its ad-free basic plan in the US and France. So it's going to go back to adverts.
Yes.
But we're paying for it.
Well, I think this is a huge mistake.
The company said it's already seen some positive results from similar efforts in other markets. Netflix has already phased out a basic plan in the UK and Canada, which Netflix said it contributed to a 34 sequential jump in membership with ads in the second quarter.
Right, so unless there's a huge difference in cost, I'll be honest with you, I've not seen any ads on Netflix, but I have seen ads on Amazon Prime,
Yeah.
and I can't watch it. Mate, they're 3 hours, 3 minutes long, and they're on every 15 minutes, and it's just for me it defeats the object of streaming services. Streaming services, ad free, watch what you want when you want them. Done.
So they're saying that they're now going to focus on a profit model.
Yeah.
So it's no longer about. Yeah, it's just it's no longer about the subscribers. It's more about how much money they can make from each subscriber.
Yeah.
I don't know, Andrew. I
just think it's
this
so
is just
wrong.
like ASOS. This is just like
Yeah.
what we looked at in ASOS, where they said we don't care about how many. I mean, they do care. It's not just about having high volumes of numbers now. It's about the customers being more profitable.
Well, that's why they're not
this is a
going
cop
to
out?
disclose. That's why they're not going to disclose their subscribers, because their subscriber levels are going to drop, but they just want fewer subscribers that are willing to pay that extra fee so they don't see adverts. Well, I'm sorry, then if I'm going to watch adverts, there are lots of other streaming services or ways of watching films with adverts or without adverts for literally zero cost.
We're gonna put this. We're gonna put this in. We're gonna put this on our watch list. This is already on our watch list.
It's already on the watch list.
And when I mean watch list, I don't mean like as in we're gonna keep our finger on this pulse.
Well, I think that we've got the South Park phenomenon going on here. Yeah. You know, we pick topics to talk about, and then it just seems to continue and continue and continue. I mean, just some of the things that I've heard on the news today and things that you've shared with me are all things that we've discussed and we've sort of predicted might happen.
Yeah.
Predicted's a bit strong because we're only on episode 11, which is over 5 weeks.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a lot of things that we've said, and it seems that we're not the only ones thinking it. So there you go.
So this is it. Look, just to conclude a particular segment on this, we need to delve into this. I think I'm gonna read the company accounts and understand this a bit more because it's important. See, I'm seeing parallels here. So we've already said that there's a parallel with the ASOS model, right? Which is once you get to a high level of subscribers or users of customers, and you have financial woes, you start talking about making more money from your subscriber base, and then you concede the fact that the numbers are going to go low. I think this is that they're just conceding the fact that they can't keep up with these subscriber levels. Okay, cool, no problem. Now we're going to do this by introducing advertisements. So we're now just basically going to go back to TV. This is just basically like we're going in bloody circles. And this is my point, Andrew, right? Going back to it, the issue here is they also make their own content.
Correct.
And none of this, like, it's so hard for this whole big glump of a production to be profitable because they spend millions and millions and millions and millions of, if not billions, on native content. So you're basically,
and they also pick, you know, what really high, not high value, but you know, really big stars to do them. You know, you look at some of their content, and all of a sudden it's got the same star in a load of production.
Yeah. So you might get. I've noticed that. So it's like you might have a month, where you've got what's that guy from
Deadpool?
Jewish guy? No, the Jewish guy.
Oh yeah.
Adam Sandler. You might have a run with a load of Adam Sandlers. Then Denzel Washington's all over the bloody platform. Yeah. And the thing is, it's just look. It's obvious that it's not sustainable because it's morphing back into TV. Yeah. And you know, going back to your Prime point, I've been a Amazon Prime customer from like 2007, and for the first time ever, I'm spending my time more on Amazon. So quite opposite to you, Andrew. I'm spending more time on Amazon Prime Video than Netflix. Do you know why?
Why?
Because it acts as a blockbuster.
Okay.
It acts as a streaming platform.
Yeah.
And it also acts as a TV service.
Yeah.
So you've got a trifecta, right? I can watch films that aren't part of Amazon Prime, but they just give me adverts throughout the thing, which is what you said you can't stand anymore, right?
Yeah.
But it's already part of the service. Then sometimes I'm like, when you're on Instagram and you're just scrolling and then there'll be like a clip of a film.
Yeah.
And you're like, what film is
Yeah.
that? And then you look at it and you're like, crap, I want to watch that now.
Yeah.
You go on Prime, you type it in, and it might be $3.99. Worst case scenario is £8. And you're like, it's only £8. 2 clicks away, boom, £8. You're now the proud owner of this film, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And then so that's the second way that I use it. And then the third way I use it is just for the actual crap films that they have there. But you know what, Andrew? They're not that behind the crap that's on Netflix. And
Mate,
this is like,
mate.
hey, sorry.
No. Please continue.
So I'm just like, right. So you've got about, I'd say 30 to 40% of the titles that are on Netflix anyway, because there's always an overlap between Netflix, Thingy, and maybe Disney. Maybe Disney a bit less, right? Because they've got their own kind of Disney branded content. But there's a massive overlap between the both. On Netflix, I find myself watching the same crap over and over again because I like watching the same series. So I'll watch Rick and Morty. I might as well just buy the Rick and Morty box set and watch that on repeat. And The Irishman. I love watching The Irishman, right? Like but do I get that much joy from it? So I might as well at this point just use Prime. But the point is that I'm trying to say is it seems like Netflix is running out of ideas because its operation is so expensive. And it pegged so much on this whole we're going to conquer the world with like, sorry, shouldn't be making that sound. I wasn't even making that sound. I was making more of a mountain, an upward sign. But, our shares are going to go that direction. And it's because of the subscribers. And now I'm seeing games on there, Andrew.
Yes.
Like for my mobile, I'm seeing like all sorts of odd crap. And I'm just like, I'm not satisfied with your content as it is. You know what I'm trying to say? Buy content. Maybe why? I guess my question is this: why is Instagram and TikTok and all of these things? Why are they marketing old movies better than the streaming platforms themselves?
Yeah. I think. So you made a good point about Amazon Prime, and I sort of look at it with blinkers because I look at Amazon Prime as a streaming platform.
Yeah.
And Amazon Prime is so much more than that, right? What is it, 70, 80 quid a year?
Yes.
You get, free next day delivery.
Photos. Photo uploads.
You get the streaming. Yes, some of the films are made for £3.50 and, it's full of people that look like me and blah, 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 right? But then you know what? Every now and then they throw you a bone. You get Premier League live matches. You get rugby. You get this sport, that sport. Every now and then they throw. So, when you look at it as a whole, it's certainly more value than Netflix. I mean, 100%, right? And Netflix is, if I was thinking this very thing last night. I looked at Netflix yesterday because I didn't know what to watch. And I always look at what's new, right? And what was new? That was films that came out 7-8 years ago.
Right, and this is right.
Alita, the whatever, some robot girl that goes fighting. I watched that God knows how many years ago, right?
I saw that as well. You're peddling crap. You're peddling old crap.
Yeah.
No, but
you're peddling old crap as new, just arrived.
But Andrew, you've given me you gave me an idea as I was the idea surfaced just explaining this to you. There is a missed opportunity here. Going back to that comment I made about Facebook, Instagram, and whatever, do you not find that you end up like discovering new films via
Absolutely.
And they're
Absolutely.
bloody old. They're from like 1993, 1995. What I don't understand is this. Why is Netflix not paying these people to create reels on the Netflix platform to get you riled up to watch old content that's already been made that they can license? Mate, there's some fantastic films that I wasn't aware of, that a lot of people are not aware of. But what gets me is they're peddling the same crap titles, as They're peddling the same crap titles as I don't. It's almost like there's like a treasure chest of old crap films, and they will sell them to Prime, and they'll sell them to Netflix, and they'll just flog that on. When there's all these, I mean, Andrew, imagine. Okay, this is gonna be okay. I'll tell you something that happened over the weekend. I was on Instagram just flicking away, and I discovered Twilight Zone. So in 2020, they remade Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
And I saw this little reel of it was an episode where this guy moved into a house, and there was like a little toy town. And the toy town was exactly the same as his actual town. And he starts doing stuff to it, and it starts affecting the web.
Yeah.
And mate, you know what? I went on Prime and I bought the whole entire series for a £10. Yeah. And I just thought, oh my God, like, I was on, this content person just drove me to this decision. And when I go on Netflix, they've got their little kind of, what's it called? They've got their little homepage with but it's nowhere near as good as the free stuff that you get on thingy. And I just think to myself, there's so many different opportunities for them to bring value to the customer, right? But what they're doing, we'll just give them ads.
Yeah, we'll give them ads. And I sit there and I think, you know what? There were films in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s. Where are these films?
Mate.
Where are they?
Like, honestly.
Where's the Abbott and Costello funny films that I used to watch when I was a little kid? Where are they?
They're
probably not funny now, I must say.
But there are timeless classics. Like I remember watching a film. I think it was called Perfume, the film was called, right? And it was about this man. It was set in the olden days, and it was this serial killer that would kill women and then wrap them because he wanted to create the most perfect perfume in the world. Right? And it wasn't it's not a horror. It was kind of like an artsy farce, but it's actually a good bloody story. Like, there's just so many weird stories, and I see the resurgence of these kind of dramas coming up on Facebook, coming up on YouTube. YouTube, people talking about them, whatever. But they don't seem to be translating onto Netflix, and that's why I think Prime. I'm now starting to just pivot towards Prime, and I just wonder if that's going to be general consumer behavior, because it's like just about when you're about to quit on Netflix, they release an interesting series that everyone's talking about. Exactly. And they get you on that. But the minute, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Well, I've been freed from that rubbish, and I know I shouldn't be saying this, but I pay £75 for a stick.
Don't continue. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, all right. Someone just went to jail. Someone just went to jail.
There like you, and
someone just went to jail for selling sticks.
Really?
3 years. 3 years.
Oh.
Wait, hold on. Let me see if I can find this. Man sent to prison for selling.
They sell them all over the place. I mean, they're a bit crap, I'll be honest with you.
Mate, he was jailed for more than 3 years.
Wow.
For selling Can you see this, Andrew?
No, you're showing.
Oh wait, hold on. My bad. Sorry. Let me just get this on for you. Andrew, man jailed for more than 3 years for loading illegal streaming services onto Fire Sticks.
Wow.
I know nonsense that have got less time than that. Well, I don't know them personally, but I've heard of.
But this also proves a point. Yeah. It's not proves a point, but it's another question to ask. It's like you're up against this sort of stuff as well, right? Yeah. Give your customers value. Yeah. Give them value. And Menzi, you know what? Do a little search on movie streaming services, right? There's no end of them. Pluto, Tubi, Plex, Hulu, and they all get you with one series.
Yeah.
Just one. Right? Yeah. And you pay that money. I mean, I'm into Tulsa King or whatever it's called at the moment. Yeah. And it's only available on one streaming service. I pay to watch it on that one streaming service.
Yeah.
And like you said, you're absolutely right. As soon as you think, you know what, sod Netflix, I'm not paying that anymore.
Yeah.
Boom. There's a new thing that comes out. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't get it.
I don't
but
know how
get-
sustainable it's going to be, Andrew. That's all I'm saying.
I think all I'm thinking is what we talk about a lot in our sales jobs and thing is consolidation.
Yeah.
That's all I'm thinking. Consolidation. There's because there isn't enough content. There's not enough content.
There is enough content. They just don't display it on there.
No,
They should have
yeah.
everything on there. And that's why
Have you
I'm
ever
saying,
searched on Netflix and found something you were actually searching for?
I'm saying to you, Prime is a butt hair away.
Yeah.
A butt hair away from, like, if these guys went, you can click on any film you like for up to 200 titles.
Yeah.
Just give us an extra £80 a year. Yeah. Bro, do you know what that means? That means you click, so you write whatever the hell comes on your mind. And you know how like they've got the Kindle service? So they actually got a Kindle service where you pay, I think it's £5 a month. So they get you on extensions. So you can buy for the Audible service, £6.99, and you can pick 2 titles a month.
Yeah.
If they did that, but obviously upped it more and said you can just stream any title you like, right? Up to 100 titles a year of your own given thing, plus, you know, all of that other stuff. Set cost. I'm telling you, Andrew, dangerous. Dangerous.
Well, one question, I know you're keen to move away from this, but one question maybe to ask, and maybe on the next one, who the hell is still paying for Sky Movies?
We're going to look into that. Well, again, this is the watch list. We're going to start going into this as well. This is just the beginning of the beginning. Right. All right. So next segment, even though it's late and your wife might be really
Oh, she's gone to bed, mate. She had an early start today.
Okay.
She was online for 5 a.m. this morning.
Okay. All right. So, Andrew, I'm about to open up a Pandora's box. So I've been reflecting on this one a lot lately. Not actually for a while now. So, Klarna is choosing to IPO, right? And it's going to IPO in New York over London. So Klarna's, I think it's a Swedish. It's a Swedish company.
Yeah.
And there's a big hoo-ha because there's a lot of, like Arm, which is a British company, decided to IPO in the American stock market rather than the London Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
Big problem, but what are you going to do? There's just more eyes on, there's just more eyes on the US market. So that's a big hoo-ha right now, right? But Klarna, why am I putting a spotlight on Klarna? So I'm going to credit a podcast called the the PBD podcast, right? Most people know it's one of the biggest podcasts on YouTube, right? And
bigger than ours?
Yeah, exactly. Imagine.
Oh my God!
Exactly.
Imagine how big they must be.
So this guy did a big piece on buy now, pay later schemes, right? And the impact it's having on the economy. And I just wanted to revisit this because this is a company that I'm in a bit of a moral quandary or a conundrum on it. And I'll tell you why, right? I'm a Klarna customer.
Okay.
And I'll tell you how I use Klarna. So first of all, for those of you who don't know Klarna is a buy now, pay later organization. So it turns out that, back in the day when you used to have catalogs, Avon catalogs, sometimes you have these Christmas, maybe Littlewoods, right? And you used to be able to pay for like domestic goods and retail goods and you used to be able to pay for them in installments, but you'd usually pay for them before you got it.
Yes.
Not after you got it, right? So you'd kind of like be like, right, PlayStation 2, getting that. I'll start paying it from now, and then it gets delivered to you kind of towards your last payment. Well, now it's the flip of that. Now it's like you can pay for stuff and split them in 3 installments, usually spread out throughout, a 3-month period or so, sometimes 4. And that allows you to buy a specific good. And I think it goes up to like maybe £1,500. There's different caps on different countries, right? So why do I use it? I use it as a psychological pillow. So I don't really need credit. I've got several credit cards that I hardly touch. But you know, Andrew, for example, when I bought the camera for this podcast, the camera was about 900 quid. Yeah, exactly. I know, exactly. And for the see what we do for you. Just for the 5 viewers that we get, right?
Yeah.
And I bought it, and I thought, oh man, you're going for such an expensive camera, right? Like, oh. So I split it into 3 payments. 300 payments. So it didn't feel like I'd spent £900 on a camera when obviously I did. It's just like or I might buy a pair of trainers, running trainers, and they might be £150, and I just don't want to pay £950. I'd rather just pay a monthly fee. Like, if that makes sense, to kind of not feel it. So I use it as that kind of device. When I'm buying stuff that I shouldn't really buy, I might use Klarna, and then just to kind of give me a psychological pillow. But the issue with Klarna is that it's not classed as a loan because it's short term, and it's on several payments, and it's not necessarily classed as credit either. And for those people who have money and, you know what I'm trying to say, or have predictable cash flow and, you know, aren't really addicted to consumerism, it's a great idea. The idea is that if you pay within the model, you don't get charged any interest rates. And you're more likely to pay it because it has a very strict pay-in model, right? It kind of helps you with your discipline. That's why I like it. But why is it an ethical conundrum? Well, Andrew, not everyone's using it in the way it's meant to be.
No.
Right? So this is what I kind of wanted to delve into. So how does buy now, pay later work, just as a whole? Just putting aside
I don't think you're sharing your screen.
Oh yeah, I am, but just not for you. Sorry, bear me one second.
Oh right, sorry.
Thank you. So can you see me? Can you see it now?
Yeah.
So how does it work? So you have the customer, right? So for buy now, pay later, the customer gets no fees. They get interest-free installments. It doesn't affect their credit score. So if you've got no credit, you can leverage buy now, pay later. Which is brilliant, right? Like there are instances where you need the boost, right? And you're ousted by the credit scoring system. The merchant has to then pay a buy now, pay later company like Klarna or Split It or whatever it's called, right? You have to pay them a commission fee. So it's something between 3 and 5% on every of the total value of the transaction, right? And you get access to a wider pool, and also the likes of Klarna or the likes of Split It and all these other companies, they take on the credit risk. So the credit risk is on them because they pay the company immediately. So you're basically paying that company a 5% commission or so. But you're getting your money straight away. So that's it. That's it. That's the end of that, right? So it all seems good. For them, soft credit checks. So they're taking the risk. This is the Klarna. They don't have to report to the credit registry. So there's very relaxed rules on the due diligence, and they have full coverage of the credit risk, right? So why is that an issue? Well, when we think about what's actually happening in the market, let's have a look at some of the delinquency rates, right? So I'm just going to share this with you as Gran Fortin. Right, let's go. So here we have an article by Gran Fortin, and it says new buy now pay later rules in the US. Financial resilience is key, right? So what they're saying that in 2024, the platform's expected to reach 80.7 billion of retail consumer debt, right? Which is up 212% from 2021 levels, which is 37 billion. I mean, look at that growth rate, mate. So you can imagine, if Klarna IPOs, it's gonna be very interesting. And then they're saying that there's a lot of organizations that are now saying, look, they have to comply with credit card standards, and I'll tell you why. increased risk of consumer delinquency. So it says, while consumer spending has proved remarkably resilient in the US, there are signs of financial pressure as consumers continue to be affected by high inflation rates seen in 2022-2023. Delinquency rates on credit cards, the most prevalent source of consumer credit with 70% of the market, have reached the highest since 2012, with a share of debts of 30, 60 and 90 days late and still increasing, right? So this is like people with late fees. A report on household debt and credit by the Federal Reserve shows that credit card delinquency rates have risen to 8.57, okay? So this is where it gets interesting. Let's see how that kind of differs to the buy now, pay later piece, right? So, Bloomberg Harris poll published revealed that 43% of buy now, pay later users who owed money said that they were behind on payments, while 28% said they were delinquent on other debt because of spending on buy now, pay later platforms. In other signs of consumer stress, almost half of those using the service said that they started using it to pay bills or less essential items.
Yeah.
Mate, when you're using buy now, pay later for electricity, gas, food, going out to restaurants. I've heard introductions of buy now, pay later schemes even to go to restaurants.
Yeah.
Andrew, you can see how that becomes a big problem. Thoughts?
So I blame buy now, pay later. You're going to laugh at this. At the colossal inflation rates in Turkey.
Oh,
yeah.
How did you manage to link
so
Turkey?
that got you. You weren't expecting that, were you?
No. That was just
right.
Yeah. Go on.
So Turkey is a very old-fashioned, traditional country, or it was as I knew it. Credit cards weren't really a thing. You paid everything in cash. Nobody used it. All of a sudden, with the youth of today and blah blah blah, and the credit cards are becoming more and more used, etc. But all of a sudden, there's been an explosion of buy now, pay later in Turkey, right?
Right.
And people are buying a £15 pair of jeans on buy now, pay later. Youngsters are going out and taking their girlfriends out on buy now, pay later.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I've seen it with my own eyes. Yeah, because it's to get credit via the normal ways because of the way that inflation is stupidly expensive, right? But I've seen a woman take her kids out for afternoon treat, a Burger King, I think it was, and some ice cream or whatever. It was buy now, pay later. Yeah, not credit cards, buy now, pay later. And I've got this thing that it's going to really, really affect the UK and other organisations. Probably not so much in the same way because Turkey's inflation rates are down to lots of other things as well. But if people are using that to pay gas bills or go to the restaurants and bits and pieces like that, and there's no authority governing that, like the credit authority or the financial services act authority or whatever it is, I just think it's going to go out of control. I think people are going to just get in more debt. There's just going to be more and more debt. On the other hand, I think the market is there because the credit card companies are too greedy. Yeah. Charging stupid interest rates, 40, 50, 60%. If you look, you buy a pair of trainers for £150, right? And if you split your payments in 3 with your credit card, you're still paying interest, yeah, because you haven't paid it off at the first statement. Whereas with things like credit card, Klarna, you're not paying interest. So people are going to go that way.
If you stick to their rules. But we're going to go into...
If you stick to their rules,
right,
yeah.
But we're going to go into kind of what the collateral damage is when you don't, right?
That's
and hopefully this will I don't know, this will shed a bit of light for you, but you know, you can help me make a conclusion, because I do like this company to some degree, but again, it's difficult. So actually, whilst you were talking, I was looking at this graph. Unfortunately, I can't zoom into it.
Yeah.
But which one's Turkey? Is it this? Like
This dark blue one. Down a bit there. To your right. A little bit right. Or left.
There.
That's it. Down a bit. Down there.
That's Turkey.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not seen as a mature market yet. So it says per 100,000 people, there's only about 5 users.
Really? Well, that must be the 5 that I've been coming across.
This is 2023.
I tell you why, and this is from my own experience. Yeah, as I've mentioned to you, my mum owns a shop which sells women's clothing. I sit there and I have a cup of tea with them, and I sit there and chat with them for hours, right? And they get people coming in. Yeah, out of every 10 people that come in and buy something, 9 of them are using a buy now, pay later credit thing.
So it says it says that let's have a look. I'm just trying to figure out what the buy now pay later situation is in Turkey. Buy now pay later regulation. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure this out because.
So what are the dark red spaces?
Just bear me 1 second. I'm about to just go into this article here. The dark red spaces were the highest concentrations of that. But I'm trying to figure out where Turkey is at when it comes to this. No.
Well, maybe it's not a big enough market to be on there, mate.
Yeah, it could be that they just haven't really how.
Fintech.
No, but that's not Turkey, is it?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, going back to that map, let's have a look. Where is the map? Yep. Just put it back on. Here we go. Yeah. So they're saying that the largest concentration areas of buy now, pay later is obviously North America. Andrew, oh my God, I really need labels on this map. What country is this?
China.
Is that China?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought China was disconnected from. Anyway.
No, that's China.
Yeah, China, Australia. I mean, look at that, mate. Look at that concentration. It's the highest, right? And then you got all these blue areas. Thank God, Colombia.
So the big blue area is Russia. The light blue area under China is India.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, Africa is not too much.
It's pretty much well, there's no data. We don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, there's no data.
But you know what? I think it sounds. I think all of these countries, like the third world or developing world countries, they already invented buy now, pay later a long time ago.
Oh, of course they have.
It's just word of mouth, right?
I wish I could translate. Salı çizmeli Mehmet.
That's what I thought, mate. Exactly.
It's the guy with the yellow wellies will pay you soon. Like, there's no guy with the yellow wellies.
I love it. I love that. So random. And you cuss me.
It doesn't translate. It's a Turkish saying.
Yeah, that's correct. That's crazy. That's so funny. But yeah, just going back to this subject. In fact, I wasn't even sharing my screen with this. Oh my God.
I'm surprised how many people in that sector, Nancy. I mean, obviously, I've heard of Klarna and I've heard of PayPal, which, was doing it years ago in a way. Revolut, I've heard of them. But then you've got people like you said, Split It, Afterpay, Affirm, Sezzle, Lay-By, FuturePay, and it just seems going on and on and on.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. But yeah, I mean, look, I mean this map is it's just showing you that it's really still in its infancy. So it seems like global debt on this particular on this particular branch of credit is about 320 billion or something like that.
So I bought my wife a phone for her birthday, and I bought it on Amazon, and I chose to split the payment over 3 payments, interest free. Yeah. But it didn't say Klarna or anything like that. So is that because is Amazon doing something?
No,
like
so
that
PayPal does it too.
Right,
there's all sorts of organizations that are kind of offering a system like that. Like I know Apple does to some degree. Right, like they've got their own kind of credit line, but I think that is classed as credit. I think they used to do it in conjunction with Barclays back in the day.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, but this is
I'd love to hear what what if you don't comply with the agreement?
Yeah, so we'll get to that. But before, just quickly, these are the things. More than, according to this poll, and it is a poll. So I mean, how much can you trust polls? More than half of BNPL users say that it allows them to purchase more than they can afford. But worryingly, nearly a quarter also say their spending is out of control.
Absolutely.
So imagine that. Like, look at these figures. Spend more than I can afford, 54%. Worse off financially, 34%. Find it difficult sticking to the monthly budget, 32%. Surprised by how much I owe. Hurt my credit score. Falling behind. And that's the thing, it's a difficult one, Andrew, when I really think about it. And let's go, let's...
Sorry, quick question. Again, sorry for my stupidity. You mentioned that there was a limit on the value of the purchase.
Well, this is what we're going to go into, yeah.
Is there a limit on how much you could spend in multiple purchases, if you see what I mean?
Yeah, that's good question. Well, let's have a look at this and see what... So let's see what they say here, right? So this is from like Klarna.com, so it's going to be in the best light. So new data shows that interest-free BNPL offer consumers better consumer outcomes compared with traditional credit, with 95% of BNPL purchases being paid off early or on time. In contrast, 50% of credit card users miss monthly payments and incur interest. Klarna is proactively publishing. Okay, cool. So let's look at some of the stats. So late fees. Internally at Klarna, money earned from late fees is referred to as negative revenue. However, they do not act as an encouragement for customers to pay on time or early. Since launching late fees in the UK in March 2023, Klarna has seen a noticeable drop in payments before implementing late fees. 12.55% of pay later transactions were late in Q4 in 2022. Mate, that's a big portion, man. That's a big portion. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And it said it dropped to 5.6 still. That's a lot of users, man. If you know what I'm trying to say. And if you think about the actual consequences, right? So let's have a look at the consequences. Late fees. Klarna may add a late fee of up to £5 if the payments are overdue by 7 days.
Okay.
So think about how you're incurring late fees each time you don't pay. So the minute you miss the first payment, £7.
Yeah.
Week later, £7. Week later, £7. So imagine if you've lost control. Oh, £5, sorry. £5 every 7 days, right? Ensuring that late fees on any other order don't exceed 25% of the total order value. Okay.
Right. So if you've spent £1,000, you could be charged up to £250 in late fees.
Right. With a maximum of 2 late fees per order. Okay, that's good. Klarna's late fees are significantly lower than the industry norm, such as a £6 penalty for missed payments on a mobile phone bill, late fee, or a hefty £100 fine.
Oh, come on. They can't compare filing your tax return with getting credit or pair of trainers on Klarna. How would they even put that on there?
I think this is interesting, man.
It seems a lot of, I don't know, smoke and mirrors going on here, mate.
I think so too. Andrew. Should we get this? Should we get this from somewhere else? I think it's important.
I think this needs to be looked into.
Let's go into.
You can buy your trainers, and if you're late, don't worry because we charge you less than the government does for filing your tax return.
Yeah, I smell something fishy here. So let's go to this. What's this guy's name? You know his name.
Martin something or other. He's on TV all the time.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So he might give us a better understanding. So for each late payment will be £5, and this will apply to orders of £20 or more. Bloody hell. Okay, so you could rack up. Okay. However, you won't be charged. Okay. So for orders under 20, the late fee will be less than £5, and you'll be charged a maximum. Fees will only be charged in a 7-day grace period. For 6 weeks starting November, late fees will be waived. All right, so it seems pretty reasonable right now, Andrew.
Not too bad, does it?
Yeah. So okay.
It doesn't seem too bad. Klarna, I apologise.
Yeah, like if that's the case, but then okay, let me Klarna late fees rules. So now
calculator. Is there a calculator?
Right,
Let me have a look.
let's have because this is a bit too good to be true.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good about this, by the way, right? but let's have a look at this. Okay, so this. What's the catch here? Because then why is anyone complaining? Our approach give.
Right. Klarna does not have a late fee calculator. Fair enough. Late fee amount. Klarna's late fee is up to £5, but it's capped at 25% of your order value.
Yeah, we've said this
so,
about 4
for
times.
example, if your order is under £20, the fee will be less than £5. Klarna has a grace period of 7 days. Yep. So you will only be charged a late fee after the 7th day. Klarna sends out reminders before charging the late fee. Klarna limits late fees to 2 per order, so you will only ever get charged twice per order. If you miss a payment, it's automatically added to the next month's instalment. Late and unpaid balances appear on your credit file, which other lenders can see. If you continue to miss, Klarna may send out debt collectors. You can postpone your due date with a reschedule upcoming payments to a new date. If you pay your purchase in full within the specific time frame, you will not be charged interest. However, Klarna credit accounts have a monthly minimum interest charge.
So you're paying the late fee and the interest charge?
Yes.
What's the interest charge?
It doesn't say.
Okay, so let's have a look at that. Klarna late interest charge. We're really delving into this.
0 to 24, well, 25%.
0 to 25%.
Yeah, depending on how much it is, and so
it's me. So that's where it's starting to make its bloody money.
Yeah. If you're using finance options such as month-to-month finances or planned payments, the annual percentage rate is 24.99%.
Well, have a look at this one, Andrew. Right. So I'm about to share my screen.
Yeah.
Klarna says its new card will help customers avoid credit card debt, but the interest rate could be up to 34% in some cases.
So what's the difference then?
Oh my God. Klarna, as long as the customer pays off their balance, until the Klarna card will charge an interest rate ranging from 14 to 33%. Mate, that's the same as a bloody Capital One card.
Yeah.
Klarna cards will only pay interest if the payments, on the payments they choose instead of the entire balance with the traditional credit cards. Wow.
And the interest doesn't compound over time. I suppose it's a little bit better, but it's not that different. They're obviously looking at moving into credit cards as a part of their business model.
Yeah.
Which makes sense as a finance company. Because
it's better than credit cards. So I tilt my hat off. To Klarna. They're doing pretty well with kind of creating new models. I still think it can be a bit dangerous because of the low credit checks and all this type of stuff. But I do like the company. I do like the way it's structured. I wanted to get your thoughts on it. So, I mean...
I just think, Bensi, that making it easy to obtain credit is just not the right thing to do.
Right.
Yeah. Or if you're going to do it, have strict spending limits. Yeah. Almost like your child's credit card for the month, that you give them a monthly allowance and that's it. I just think we get into dangerous things. I mean, and you know it and I know it, it's always the most vulnerable, people that own the least money, that use these things because they see it as a way out for at least a week or a month. You know, they'll go and do the shop. You can imagine, you know, a single parent going out and buying nappies or whatever, yeah, and then next month, how do I pay for this sort of thing? I just think it's dangerous.
Okay, so final question: would you invest in Klarna?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm looking at two different things. Yeah, you know.
After all of that, because that was where my ethical conundrum came from. I was a bit on the fence as to whether it's a force for good or a force for bad, or just maybe just nothing, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm now kind of sitting on the I don't feel so bad about it all. So thank you very much for joining me on that journey.
I still think they're better than these banks and these credit card companies.
Right.
At the end of the day,
Right.
I do think that.
Right, and that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So Andrew, there was a reason why I wanted to delve into Klarna, and it's because I want to start getting into understanding finance. So financial companies like banks and credit and whatnot. And I thought, what an interesting segue between retail consumerism and actual credit and finance. Yeah. So I wanted to get our juices thinking around kind of how some of these companies make money. And I think Klarna is very smart because it's charging that commission fee from the customer, but it's also charging those that can't really comply with the payment schemes on the consumer side. But the issue is that I'm now having is just the not so stringent checks on actually getting access to it. That's the only thing. So it's almost as if they could see, because there used to be a company called I can't remember, it was Amigo Loans.
Oh yes, I remember
awful
that
company, right?
Yeah.
However, what maybe is this whole guarantor business of if you don't pay, they'll pay.
Yeah.
If something like that could be adopted, but maybe I don't know, just a mechanism like that where it almost, but then there's a social shame to it as well, isn't there? And that's what I didn't like about it. But it just feels like there's just one little bit of due diligence left to protect people from spiraling out of control, which I'd really appreciate. But yeah, it's a company that I want us to keep our eye on as well, because 80 billion in the US, they could do so much more.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you go back 50, 60 years, Bensi, I mean, we maybe have to do some research, but I hear from people that that's how you used to get a mortgage. Your mortgage application would be based on, are you of good character, and do you have a guarantor that can speak up for you?
Yes.
And, and we, again, it's this word that we keep saying, we're going full circle. What'd be interesting, actually, is to compare Revolut with Klarna, because I think Revolut are going down the opposite end of the thing. They're having a lot of complaints. There's been some issues that I heard on the news. I haven't really looked into it much, but it might be worth doing.
Yeah, let's start pivoting into the finance sector a little bit, and getting our juices going there. But Andrew, in good old fashion, as we approach the 2-hour mark,
oh my God,
let's go to final thoughts.
Final
Andrew,
thoughts.
What are your final thoughts? So
it's been a very interesting episode this week. I liked the comparisons between my experiences with sales and your experience in sales, and I like the way that you summarised how what companies are after nowadays. It's just I never even thought about the scale side of things, because the way we used to do it is just not scalable, as have the famous thing. But did it have better rewards, better outputs? I don't know. Well, just a very quick. I used to do 40 grand a month selling typewriter ribbons that were average cost price of $2.99.
You can give me that any day, mate.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a different story. But also really interesting, this Klarna thing. Yeah. Really, really interesting. I'd love to do a bit more on that. And I do think that I certainly would learn a lot if we started looking into the finance industry a little bit. And yeah, that was really cool. And you know, my feelings on subscription services. I just think, how can you demand a subscription from us and still show us bloody adverts? That wasn't the business model we were promised. So, you know,
yeah. In terms of my thought, I wanted to have this episode as kind of an introduction into new spaces.
Yeah.
The sales piece, I think that's just the beginning of the beginning of the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
I do want us to maybe do like a bit of a structured piece around what the BDR thing means, business development reps, and the art of business development versus sales development, which is an interesting subject. You know, things like some of these sales methodologies, what they really mean, and you know, how stringent should you be on the likes of a spin or a challenger sell model and all this type of stuff, and maybe even explain to the audiences what some of the differences are.
Absolutely.
So that could be interesting. And in terms of Netflix, I don't know whether I love or hate Netflix. It like my relationship with it goes like that. But one thing that my kind of heuristics or that kind of inner gut feeling tells me is that it's not sustainable when you centralize so much. You know, this thing was meant to topple Hollywood, and not that I'm a big fan of Hollywood, but it was meant to topple Hollywood. It's meant to cut out all these people, and all I'm seeing, and it was meant to be a force for good, but all I'm seeing, and you hit the nail on the head, is the same actors, right? The same actors in that middle bar of what's new, the same crap, old crap. Yes, now and again, it comes up with the new a new series that everyone's talking about, like Squid Games and all this type of stuff, right? Touche. But it's not enough. It's not enough in my opinion. And I'm really surprised that they just keep drawing that rabbit out of the hat. But I do think it's limited, because when you start going back to turn into what you were before, and we've mentioned this with other businesses too, like, you know, the supermarkets are now trying to be grocery stores.
Exactly.
You know, we said with the likes of ASOS and Boohoo, they're now trying to become like Debenhams type businesses and have all these different brands, and it's just like we're just kind of going in circles, if that makes sense. And I think when things start going in circles, we've lost innovation.
Absolutely.
And we're now just recreating the wheel, right?
Absolutely.
It was a couple of episodes back where we said there was a business that had priced out another one, and now it's becoming like it again.
That was the analogy that I gave you when I was selling office supplies, and a company called Dudley's came on the market and started selling photocopy paper at 50 pence a ream, and just literally wiped the floor with everyone.
Right.
We disappeared, and all of a sudden it just went up to $4.99 a ream or whatever it was. But there was another company that you mentioned as well.
Yeah, we were doing an episode on it, and we were like, it displaced its predecessor. Oh no, it was I think it was ASOS and Boohoo displacing Topshop, and displacing
and then becoming Topshop,
and then buying them, and it was just like, what a mess. Like, so anyway, all this to say, right, it's that cycle that I think we're now like always repeating. It's so, or maybe those are the business that we're just gravitating towards.
Well, just say I do something every now and then because I'm bored. I go on YouTube and I just look at movie trailers for 2025. See what's coming up.
Yeah.
They're all Netflix movies. They're all Disney movies. There is no movie out there. They're all just streaming company movies coming out.
Absolutely.
That says something.
And it's the same thing with the music industry.
Yeah.
There was a time where it was just Drake all over the gaff.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is not sustainable. And then guess what? It all topples. And I'm very, something about Netflix gives me that gut feeling that's not where it's at. So that, so we'll carry on following Netflix. I don't want their demise, but we'll see. Okay, so that's one thing. And then with Klarna, honestly, I just want it to be our entry point into understanding debt. Debt and the number. Like, debt is such an important thing, and I want to know whether we're going in the right direction when it comes to debt, or in the wrong direction when it comes to debt. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And how that relates to companies, because with a Klarna, I hope that what I'm seeing is real. I want to dig a little bit more into this by now, because I think where there's smoke, there's fire, and there seems to be a lot of people talking about it needing to be regulated.
Yes.
So far, at the high level we've read, we ain't seen any cause for concern. But again, when there's smoke, there's usually fire, and we'll carry on digging into this to find out what the real risks behind these are. But yeah, watch this space, Andrew. I really want to understand that, and that's it. So yeah, I'll give the final word to you, and we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, well, you know what? It just all worries me, you know, and you know, we've touched upon the cashless society, and you know, would any of this be possible if we didn't have the cashless society? You know, how difficult was it to get a loan? How difficult was it to go and borrow money? And I just think the more easy we make things, it's not always a good thing. You know, there are things that, you know, we should have easy, like education, health, etc., etc. But, you know, being able to borrow money at the touch of a button, not sure.
Yeah.
It would certainly worry if my kids were borrowing money at the touch of a button. It would scare the life out of me.
I went to a fintech conference 7 years ago, and I watched a talk by Atom Bank, boasting that it could verify mortgages within 10 clicks or something like that.
Yeah.
And I just went to myself, I'm not sure about this one. Like I'm not sure if these big like friction is a good thing.
Yeah,
friction can be a very good thing. Like, you remember, like when we think about force, right? You got gravity, pulls you down to earth, right? Yeah. We've got upthrust, which kind of stops you from sinking into the earth, right? Yeah. You've got friction that allows your car to stop. Yeah. You need the brakes.
Yeah,
absolutely. And yeah, that's it really. But anyway,
yeah, I mean, do you know what? That's a great thing. You know, when you take out a loan or when you buy something on credit, you've got a 14-day calling off period, right? And I know, you know, it's a little bit different with these credit cards and whatever, but yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, we're going to learn a bit more about this space. But anyway, audience, thank you so much for listening, and we'll leave you with our closing music.
Yeah, this is going to be available on CD, by the way, if anybody wants it.
Yeah, one of those AOL CDs. Yeah. Take care, everyone. Thank you very much. Speak to you soon.